Standing up for the truth. Hear it loud, hear it strong. And we not turn it down. Hear the voice of the youth. Standing up for the truth.
Good night. Hi. Welcome to episode 2 of Locked and Loaded. Yes, as usual, it's your girl Judah, and I'm here with my beautiful, gorgeous, awesome, amazing sister Sharon. Do you see her? Oh my gosh. And we're so excited to bring you guys episode 2. Give me the breakdown. And yeah, Sharon, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I think this is going to be a great episode. How are you feeling?
Totally excited, totally stoked. Hi, Crystal. Good night, everybody. Remember,
Hi, Crystal.
Guys, share what's happening. Good night, Crystal. First in the chat. Whoop whoop. Shout outs to you. And in case you missed the obvious cue, we are paying homage to our homeland because it's November. So happy Independence in advance. This is our month of celebration, and we wanted to, as a Locked and Loaded family, we wanted to represent. So that's why we are obviously dressed like this. And you can see the beautiful flag in the background. So yeah, we will be continuing that throughout the entire month.
Yeah, so guys, just want to remind you right now to follow us on social media. So Instagram at Echo Nation, look for us on Facebook at Echo Nation. Be sure to subscribe. Remember to subscribe to Echo Nation. Thank you, Crystal. Oh dear, come on. But yes, remember to subscribe to Echo Nation. And as we would have said last time, we now have a TikTok account, and content will be coming soon. So look out for that. So you can follow us there at Echo Nation as well. Yep, there Definitely. It is down below. Echo Nation. Yep.
Before we get into it, remind you guys to share the link. Tell your friends to let everybody know we are online right now. Share the link in your group chat, send it as a blast on your WhatsApp status, post it in your IG, whatever you need to get everyone connected so that we get locked and loaded and you guys don't miss a thing.
Yep. Exactly. Thanks for that, Judah. So next we have the featured music video, and the song for this week is Friends and Family by John Yarde.
Woo-hoo!
Don't follow me now, no. Light up is shine, yeah. If you not ready for your change, don't follow me no. Who hear me now? Me put a fire to burn. See one by one, shine your light them up. Let's kick evil out of town, yeah. See one by one, shine your light them up. Shine your light, I beg you, shine your light, you know. See one by one, shine your light them up. Let's kick evil out of town, yeah. See one by one, shine your light them up. Shine your light, I beg you, shine your light, you know. You are my friends that around the world. You're my family. Yeah. When I wake in the morning, lift my eyes to the hills. Tell the Father I'm grateful for my life, my friends and family He gave. I'm learning life is so simple. I'm learning life is a gift. I recognize the value of life is not what I have, but the things I give. So I go live in love that love live in me. And I ask for the Father's heart so I can see and every single human being. You're a king, yes, you're a queen. But firstly, you're my friends and family. Thank God for my friends and family. Yeah. So grateful to you, we're a blessing. I thank God for my friends and family. No matter what life can take us through, I'm so grateful for you. Every man is my father, and every boy is my son. Little girl, you're my sister, and Miss Lady, you're my mama. When I look at the stranger, the homeless man in the street, I understand that he's just like me and deserving of love, so I do it. So I will live in love, but love live in me. So as Father, Father, Son, I get to you. And every single human being, you're a king, yes, you're a queen. But firstly, you're my friends and family. Thank God for my friends and family. I'm so grateful that you are a blessing. Thank God for my friends and family. No matter what life may take us through, I'm so grateful for you, my family. I'm so grateful for you. I thank God for you, my family, my family. I thank God for my friends and family, my family, my family. I thank God for you. Thank God for my friends and family. I'm so grateful that you are a blessing. You're my brother, my sister. Thank God for my friends and family. Thank God for my friends and family. My friends and family. I'm so grateful that you are a blessing. Thank God for my friends and family. No matter what life may take us through, I'm so grateful for you.
You are watching Locked and Loaded on Echo Nation. Awesome, awesome, awesome stuff. And of course, we got to give a huge shout out to John Yarde, who is our guest today. And he is, a local artist. So here we are being all patriotic and stuff, repping our local musical artists and so on. Good night, Katrina. Welcome, welcome. Continue to share the link, guys. Let everybody else know that we're on so that we can get into it. Okay, so as you guys know, we're talking about music and what's not. And I have a question for you. Those of you in the chat, let us know, what are your 2 favorite songs right now? What are 2 songs that keep you buzzing, that you may have on repeat right now? And Sharon, you could let me know, what are your 2 favorite songs? Let us know in the chat. Just send 2 songs so we can, see what your musical taste is like. Let's get it going. How about you, Sharon?
Well, 2 songs for me. Okay, so I don't know if I can list 2, but if I had to list one, okay, I can list 2. Nathaniel Appointment. I've been listening to that a lot recently.
Right.
And then
shout outs to him.
Whoop, whoop. Yeah, we love Caribbean people. And also, I have been listening to a song called Show Me by Becca Shea. She's an international artist. It's a nice song, though.
Okay.
Yeah, what about you, Judah?
Right.
Let's hear these Afrobeat songs.
Girl, how you know so good? Look. So, yes, Afrobeats is definitely my favorite genre. Interestingly enough, the 2 that I chose for tonight are not necessarily, so one of them is kind of Afrobeats. That is Satisfied by Afolake. It's like a fusion type thing. So it has Afrobeat rhythms, but it also has, an R&B flow with it. So that's a really good song. And my next one, that is by another local artist, actually. That is Block and Delete by Philip K. That one is one that you guys definitely need to hear if you have not heard it yet. As soon as we're finished, check it out. That song is really good. We see some people sending in their songs in the chat. Kimona says Royalty, Samuel Medas, and Ready, Samuel Medas. I feel you, sis.
I was in that phase too. I was in that phase.
I love those songs. Yes, they're really good.
Yeah, they are.
So you guys, keep sending them in, share the music with us, especially, we endorse pure music here at Echo Nation.
Yeah, pure music. Right, guys. Oh, we have Mark Isaac's Validate and All Hail the King, John Yarde. Nice songs, Crystal. Anyone else, guys? What are your 2 favorite songs or 2 songs that you've been listening to on repeat recently that you've really been loving and feeling this past week, month, whatever? 2 songs. Let us know. Yep. So just to give a recap on what we are talking about today. touched on it a little bit before, but the season we are focusing on music and we are looking at how it influences us in terms of our behavior, in terms of what we think, what we say, what we do, how it influences the connections that we have with people, friends, family, just people in general, and how it can shape the future of the youth, the future of the nation, the future of those of people. So yeah, we are looking into that, how it can control us, and yeah. So guys, stay tuned. We thank you all who would have been here last week. We had a very nice discussion, and this week and for the continuing weeks as we stay on music. And don't forget that we said that we will have some special guests. We will be having special guests, people who are involved in music, whether they're musicians or maybe like music producers, things like that. And look out because further on in the season, you will see your hosts in a different capacity. We're not going to say much more about that. We're not going to let the cat out of the bag, but you are going to see us in a totally different way. And look forward to Echo Nation some live events and online events. So as we get closer, we will give you more information about those things. But just want you to stay posted, and that's why it's so important to ensure that you follow Echo Nation and subscribe on YouTube.
Yes, definitely. And as you can see, we're still pushing for that 500. We are at about, let me see, I think 313, 315, something like that now. And we know we can do it. We know you guys can do it because, we want to encourage you to share the music with everyone, share the episodes with everyone, share the vision really to transform our culture, because it's important. Music is a part of our lives and we want to steward it properly, as Sharon would have alluded to before. Natasha also said that two songs she likes right now are Thank God for You by Ghazi and All Hail the King by John Yarde. Those sound like some really busy, some really, heavy hitting songs. Kivana says another one of hers would be Winner by Sherry-Ann Mon. That's a really nice one. Shout out to all the Sherry-Ann Mon fans out there. She is awesome as well. And Kivana is asking about Glenn. Glenn is not here. He's not with us right now. We'll just leave it there. He's not with us right now. But his heart remains the same. Our producer backstage is throwing hints and some shade from last season. If you know, you know. Hashtag if you know, you know. But yes, he is not here with us right now, although his heart is still here. So, we're reinforcing that the purpose of this season, we want to encourage us all to value our minds and to value our mental wellness and to value, the way that we, how we are shaped and influenced by music, paying more attention to these things. And that is where we left off last week. We had a very interesting and somewhat heated discussion, which is great. So we're going to pick up from right where we left off. All right, so we'll take a short break right now and we'll get ready to get into the DM.
You are watching Locked and Loaded on Echo Nation.
Okay. Sharon, before we get heavy into it, do you want to, give us some details on what went down last week?
Yeah, sure. So last week, as Judah said, there was some discussion. So thank you all for participating. Thank you all for that. But last week, we would have not only done a recap of the season, which I also want to encourage you now, if you have time, you can go back and look at some stuff. But we also spoke about music. We spoke all about, just like peripheral surface level things about music. And we got into music as being God's gift to us. And we asked the question, can we control ourselves? Or does music have an influence that we can't really control? Things like that. That's what caused the heated discussion. And we are definitely going to be getting into those things, getting into the different elements and different, components of music. And later down in the season, we will look at answering those questions.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely, definitely. So, jumping into this episode, give me the breakdown.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking music. We're looking into it, very seriously, intentionally. And we want to ask some questions. We want to talk about, what is it, what components come together to make up these songs that we love? Why does music resonate with us so much like it does? And I remember last week I had said music is an education. So we're going to get educated tonight. We're really going to get into it. And so remember those songs that you referenced. We want you to hold on to those songs, those two songs that you gave us an example of earlier. Hold on to that. Just keep those in the back of your mind as we look into the components and what's not. So music lovers and even musical experts, we found out last week that Sharon herself is a musician, of many, many skills and talents. So we want to call you guys out, and add your voice to the discussion as we go along. All right, so we have a list of components here. We have rhythm and beat, tempo, rendition, etc. So you guys in the audience, we want to ask you, do you think that any of these are the most important, or what would you say rather, are the most important components of music for you and why? You can give us two. So what do you think? Is it like the rhythm or the beat that's most important to you? Does that stand out more? Is that, what really hits home with us? Is that what hooks us on songs? Or is it the lyrics that's most important? Or what about the keys and the chords? Like, you guys can let us know as soon as you can in the chat. I'm going to direct that question to you, Sharon, Madam Musical Expert among us. So what would you think? If you had to choose two, what would you say would be the most important musical components?
Okay, that's a very tricky question. I would say that for me, I like, I think that I love rendition. For me, rendition, I love how the song is delivered, the way that the person sings the song, especially when like an older sort of song is like livened up and hyped up, and then you have like, oh, I love to see that. I feel like that's where a lot of creativity comes in when you already have a structured song. But looking at the song itself, I am also I I think lyrics are very important. I think lyrics are very important, but looking at the music itself, like let's push lyrics aside, I do like harmonies. I think harmonies are really cool, playing around with harmonies, augmenting and elevating music and things like that. That's fantastic. Judah, what about you?
Right. Okay, so I mean, if you think hard, oh wait, we have a comment here from Jerome. He says, I know that Sharon can answer all of these questions because she was in the top 10 among the CXC music students in the region. Wow. When she did CSET music, she is indeed a musical expert. Thank you, sir. Thank you. That's a very valuable information.
Oh, you're
So
giving
we
out all this information.
woo, it's
Yeah.
important and it's valid. It's almost like we don't even need a guest because we have you, Sharon. You know.
Thank you for the love,
So
Joe. Yeah. Bringing back good memories.
for me, in terms of if I had to choose a component, I mean, like I said, one of my favorite genres is Afro beats, and that one has a lot to do with the rhythm and the beat, of course, as you know, that's self-explanatory, given right there in your name. I also like harmonies and texture in these songs, and we're really gonna look deeper at what these mean. So if you guys are a little fuzzy because everybody is not, well versed on musical terms and what's not, that's totally fine. We're gonna get into, practically speaking, what some of those mean. And melody stands out for me. Melody stands out for me as well, along with the rhythm and the beat.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that melody, rhythm, and beat. Fantastic. So, guys, just send in your things. What's most important and why? So, we have Crystal saying lyric and theme/intent. Some nice stuff. Yep. Crystal. Why, Crystal? Why?
Oh, there.
Yes, exposing
We all
the
did
Joe. But all love. All love. But yes, guys, keep it
Yeah.
coming. would love to hear from you. What are your two? What do you think, as a music expert, are the two most important things to you when you think of a song outside of playing on the steel pan? And that's
Oh, God. I feel the shade. I feel it. In terms of lyrics and theme and intent, Crystal, if you would, like, why do you think that that is the most important one for you? I mean, for me, I would say the lyrics and the theme, they really say the message of the song. They tell you, you know, what the music that you're listening to, what it's all about, and what you are gathering from that. So I think that's one reason why, you know, they will be important. And Master Boss, hello, Master Boss, welcome back. He says lyrics and beat. Those are two cool elements. What do you think, Sharon?
Yeah, or we have another lyrics and rhythm slash beat. Those make the most impact. Yeah, those are very important. Lyrics are definitely very important, you know, because sometimes, like looking back on what we would have said last week, and if there's anyone here who was not here last week, you can check out last week's Giwwe music episode. It is posted, so you can check that out. Yeah, but lyrics, they're very important, especially if you're a person that has certain standards and principles. You don't necessarily want to be listening to something that is outside of those. And then the rhythm
Right.
and the beat, come on, like that to some of us makes the song, and there's so much inside of rhythm and a beat that a song has. And yeah, I don't want to get too much into that, but we will get there. We will get there. So stay tuned.
Yes, yes, yes. And I think, you know, it's interesting because we don't always think of all of those components that we saw there. Sometimes we only pay
Exactly.
attention to one or two of them. And I think that's interesting too. Like, do you guys think that we should pay more attention to the other components of the songs? And while you're thinking on that, Joel says, if the song contains vocals, I would go with the lyrics as well as the groove. Harmonies play a very
Right.
important role. Thank you, sir, for your expert input. Thank you.
Okay, guys, so we're going to take a short break now, and we will be back.
You are watching Locked and Loaded on Echo Nation.
Alrighty. So we're looking at some of the components more intently. And the first one we're going to tackle is rhythm and beat. So I know y'all probably bumping your head. If we could see you,
Guys,
this
do you
probably
know
would
what
look like.
song this is? If you know the song, tell us
Tell
what
us if
song
you know
is
the
this.
song. Okay, so in terms of the rhythm and the beat, let's look at what that is. Given that we just had an excellent example, and we're gonna let you guys say what song that is. You're surprised that nobody is rushing to type it in the chat. But in terms of the rhythm and the beat, we see that that's looking at, you know, music's pattern in terms of time, and we see here that is derived from the Greek word which means to flow, which makes sense. Because even when we're bobbing our heads, like there's a fluidity to our movement, there's a flow there. And we are usually bobbing our heads to the rhythm or to the beat. It has accented and unaccented beats and spaces. And the beat refers to the pulse of music. It's usually steady. Yes, Crystal, you got it. Yes, sir, you got it. It is Toast by young up and coming artist. Well, the instrumental, that is.
Yeah.
So yeah, in terms of the rhythm and the beat, like without even getting too technical about what it means, like what do you think? And you guys share your examples because we're both exploring and, you know, investigating this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it so important? Like why is that such a, you know, why does that have the most impact, as somebody would have said earlier, in terms of the rhythm and the beat? What do you think, Sharon?
Why would it? I think a lot of people definitely identify with the rhythm of a song. I think it's more than just me telling you plainly what it is. It's definitely something brain related. Like I definitely think so. So as much as we can sit down and talk like book related or like something like this definition, the rhythm of
Right.
songs literally dictates how we respond. So like the song
Right.
just started playing and we already had our little movements that we were doing. If it was a different type of song, it would have been different. So it definitely like puts we move and then there's certain feelings and flows that accompany that. I remember Joel last week was talking about studies about how music can, Joel, if you don't mind reminding me how music can influence your mood or something like that. Like definitely I believe that the rhythm has is a key component in that.
Yeah, yeah. And it's so interesting how we basically combine in terms of creating rhythms and beats. We're combining, these sounds and layering them in such a way that it creates this package that you look at it or rather you listen to it and it's like, whoa, especially
Yeah.
for, Caribbean people. And speaking of Caribbean people, if we look at the next component, which is tempo, that talks about the speed of the song and how fast it is, how many beats per minute,
A minute,
etc.
yeah.
And when we combine rhythm and beat with the tempo, we in terms of Caribbean people, Toast is a Jamaican song, but that's almost like a Caribbean anthem now. Because everybody from Jamaica to Barbados, Trinidad to Antigua, everybody's like Toast, yeah, and we're vibing with that. And I think it's really interesting. Like, what do you think about the tempo and how that comes in, especially in terms of Caribbean people?
Oh wow, tempo. To me, tempo is really important, and I feel like I didn't always think it was important. Or I'm just gonna read Joel's comment. Look at the behavior of someone listening to rock, heavy metal, death metal, as opposed to spooge, a waltz, ballad, and reggae. Yes,
Right.
Joel. Yep, that's touching exactly what I was saying. Like the differences, they're very different, and something included in those is tempo. Sometimes you could have like changes in tempo. Different songs have different tempo ranges. Sorry. Um, yeah, if I just see what Master Boss is saying, but is that due to the beat or the lyrics, actual?
Good
Okay, yeah. So there
question.
are different tempo ranges, and yeah, just make. Have you ever? Did I have a question for you? Have you ever took a song and changed the speed on YouTube to either increase it or? And why did you do it? And what did you find when you did that?
I think that depended on what I was going for or the depth that I wanted to feel in the song. Sometimes I would have done that if I was not in the mood for something slow or fast. I would change it to either fast or slow, because there's a different feel, there's a different vibe, similar to what Joel is saying. It influences you differently to behavior, yes, specifically movement as well. Like if you're tired and what's not, you might not necessarily want to listen to a soca song because that might not necessarily fuel where you are at or what you're feeling. But I think it's really interesting too that it seems to be a trend. You guys can tell us if you agree with this or not. Is it true? Well, yeah. If is it true? What do you think about the thought that with people of color, specifically Black people in the Caribbean, in America, all over the world, is it significant that we tend to gravitate more towards up-tempo music, like the faster beats? What do we think about that?
Yeah, that is definitely true. And for those of you who may not know, I know that it's paused up a lot, but I am studying in Canada. And I remember when I first went there and the music culture was so different. Like it was so different. And even in church, I know that we do listen to like some American gospel. Just the way that the songs were played, like you had a normal song and it was just like completely shifted. All of the songs were slower. Like every single song was slower. And initially I did feel a bit different. So definitely we are accustomed to a certain type of song, even though there are people in the Caribbean who would like slower songs. I
Right.
feel like it's possible that we are just accustomed to the normal Caribbean, possibly like, faster music.
Mm-hmm. So Kivana says that she thinks that it's both at Master Boss because if you have a good beat, but my lyrics aren't good, it probably won't have that big an impact. So I think it's both. It's both. But that raises a thought for me because there are many songs that the lyric is like one or two lines just repeating, but because of the rhythm and the beat, like that's an anthem, that's a summer jam. Like we don't even have to have a message; we're just singing it. So I guess it could go either way. And Master Boss says, I think we are more drawn to upbeat things because of our history. And I assume you mean, our heritage or tradition, our heritage as descendants of Africans. Yeah, because if we look at African culture, we see that the music there, rich in music, is a huge part of African culture. I think music is really important to Black people in general. In that culture, there's a lot of drums, literally beats and rhythms involved. So I think that definitely probably has a really good influence there.
Yeah, I also want to go back to Kivana's comment regarding the lyrics. So, do you guys know the song Despacito? Do you know that song?
Yes, I know, but I think I see where you're going because I know Despacito.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Right. So the song definitely has lyrics, and there are people who understand the lyrics. But I think at one point that song was like #1 in North America at one point, and I'm pretty sure that 100% of those people who listen to it frequently don't know the well, not 100% don't know, but like not 100% of them know the lyrics because it's a really nice song. So there are some times where I think if you're cognizant, if you're a person that definitely thinks that lyrics are important, then you would look for that. But the average person may be more attracted by a beat, attracted by a rhythm, attracted by all those glitzy, glamorous things about music.
Right. That's
very so
true.
yeah. So next we are going to talk about the next component, which is melody.
Okay, let's get into it.
Yep. So melody is the collective sequence of notes and pitches that create the primary pattern in music.
Right.
Yes, that is melody. So the melody of the song is basically, if you had to sing the song but replace the song with la 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 la, you're singing the melody.
Right. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Yes. So, guys, what do you think? Do you think the melody is important? I don't think a lot of people brought up melody of a song, I guess because a lot of the different components may be like interwoven into each other to make the beautiful masterpiece called music. But do you think the melody is important, guys? And why? Why may melody be important?
Well, for me, I think we could kind of see that as a really big part of the backbone of a song, essentially. Because if you have words and you have a beat, let's say you have like a simple beat, or complex, whichever, but you don't have the melody, I feel like that's the bridge that like brings everything together, I feel that way. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. Also the melody is like where a song can start. Like you start the song there and then you will further augment it. So you're going to add the different harmonies and the different textures and all those different things to the melody. So the melody, as you said, is like a backbone. And I also think that melody relates a lot to memory. Melody can help us remember songs. It can definitely help us remember songs where we remember the melody. So for instance, there's a very common melody that goes like la 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 la, something like that. What song is that?
Woo, ooh, ooh.
What song is
I
that,
could
guys?
I could think of so many songs. Like I could think of so many that, well, not many, many, but more than one really that relates to. I mean, but the first one that comes to mind is the alphabet. A B C D E F
Mm-hmm.
G I J K L M N O P A. Sorry.
Hey. But then there's also Twinkle Twinkle Little Star and Baba Black Sheep. Have you any more? Here we have a
Right.
comment by Joe Danfinish. Yes, a melody is very important. Take, for example, a melody from an opera as opposed to melody from RPB. Being able to sing or hum the melody allows a person to enjoy the music. Very
Right.
true. As Master Boss says, I.
The Bradford family is asking why was my bridge wavy like that? I mean, well, wavelength. Let me see how I can rationalize this. Wavelengths in music are usually wavy. They're not always, this is not, like, give me my points. I know something. Come on.
Yeah. And Joe
Look
brought
at
up
what Joel said.
right. Yeah. Agree with Sharon. Melodies are used to teach people how to spell, etc. Yes. Judah, what do you have to say about that? Any input?
Yeah, I think that's really important because, first of all, the alphabet, that's one of the first things we learn. And the melody that's used for that song is basically a teaching tool. And as you were saying, it relates back to our memory, because nobody forgets that. Like everybody has the alphabet. Like you don't need to, ask somebody what the alphabet is. You can sing the song, and even if you need to sing the song to jog your memory about like what letter comes after K, and you sing A B C D all the way down, like you get it because
Yeah.
that really does help you. It really is a memory tool. And I guess melody then is really important.
It is very important. Master Boss says, even in studying at school, you may try to incorporate a melody to help you remember. Yep, that is
Yes.
definitely true.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Small X says, I always thought of music as a prism sphere, many sides making one element. That's such an eloquent way to.
I
That's
love
great.
that.
Thank you so much for your input. Yeah, it really is. And is he talking about my melody? It was pitchy? Oh, if you mean me, I have won a karaoke competition, so thank you.
Yep, Judah is a singer. Okay. Judah is a
I
singer.
tried.
So we together are a musical duo. Come.
Yes, definitely. Oh, sorry,
It was enough.
right. Sorry, wait, that's right. Okay. So
Okay.
now that we've had some fun and we've dived into it a bit more, we're gonna take another quick break and we will be right back. And you just may be surprised as to who you see next.
You are watching Locked and Loaded on Echo Nation.
Okay, guys. My Locked and Loaded friends and family. I just want to echo that we are having a special guest. And guests make everything better, 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 better. So, guys, here right now, we have to help break it down. Local singer and songwriter with music production experience, Pastor John Yarde.
Woo! And the crowd goes wild.
Hello,
Woo!
sir.
Good night.
What was that? That was good. That was good.
Thank you. Yes, thank you so much for coming. We're so glad to have you here.
My apologies for taking so long. I just wrapped up a meeting at church.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I did have to give that one time. But I'm glad to be here. Um, and I'm high. With all that I have left in me, I'm gonna serve you as best as I can.
Amen.
Oh
Amen.
wow,
God
we
will empower
definitely
you and
appreciate that.
strengthen you, sir.
But yeah, let's talk about music.
Yeah. Yes. So we just finished talking about melody and what's not. We really want your input too, because as Sharon said in her awesome introduction, you have music experience not only as a singer or songwriter, in terms of music production. And we want you to give your input on the experience of music. There's Philip K being facetious and funny. So next we're talking about keys and chords. Keys and chords. And we really want to look at that in a specific way. Like, what is your take? Like, what is the importance or the significance of keys and chords in terms of music, in terms of how it affects us as well when we're listening?
Well, they're with music. I don't want to get too deep into it, everything, but I'll just use feelings. Music makes us feel. It evokes emotions and it creates experiences. And so
Right.
without having anyone singing, without there being any lyrics, an emotion can be invoked if I choose a particular chord structure and if I play that particular chord structure in a particular key, right? So I
Right.
recently composed a piece that I was feeling sad and I was feeling depressed. And when I play the music of that song, you feel the sense of sadness being invoked. You feel that sense of, oh, but
Right.
then in the piece, it eventually lifts the mood, and my emotions begin to change as I get out what I was feeling as I was playing. I got out that weight that was on me, and the song begin to change to reflect what was happening on the inside of me. Well, that's a very serious thing, right? It then means to say that even though it's C sharp on every keyboard, how it's done and where it's put will have a significant impact. Or C minor, so the major chords oftentimes lend to more brighter, more happy feelings. So, for example, Better, Count Your Blessings, Friends and Family, those songs are songs in major keys that ultimately lend to it having a sense of excitement, having a sense of celebration. I tend to create most of my music in the majors, right, in the major chords. However, minors tend to give you a bit more of a gloomy. No, gloomy is not bad. Gloomy does not have to be bad, but it kind of creates a bit
Right.
more. I want to say suspense. It creates a bit more, a bit more. I'm not finding the word, but the emotion that you feel, it's a bit more of a journey of walking through what's happening, where you feel. I don't want to say reflective, but a bit more pensive. The minors create a bit more pensive sense when you hear it. It almost feels a bit more serious. It almost lends to listening to you leaning in and paying attention. And so I'd say that it's a huge difference being able to pay attention to the so they say depressive. I'm not going to necessarily say depressive, but it can lend to that. Yeah, it can lend to that because there are some very beautiful songs
Right.
are in minor chords, but that's the general emotion that is invoked immediately. So Jameson is saying he loves minor chords. I do as well, but
Right.
I don't use them predominantly in my music as the keys that I choose because I want people to feel a sense sorry. I want people to feel a sense of life. I'm calling people to something. And so the chord that I choose, down to the key that we use, down to the key that we use, or the progression that is used, the key ultimately reflects the tone of your voice. So if I sing a song that is low, I'm not going to communicate the emotion of my voice, right? It's not going to be captured as best as it possibly can. So that means that the key is also important because the key helps you then to express yourself the way that the song is best needed. Because come on, you can sing a song all the way down there. Here I am to worship. Here that doesn't feel. It doesn't create a sense of I don't hear conviction. Here I am to you can sing it and sound nice and wrong like that John Legend. Here I am to worship. Here I am. That is, I don't hear conviction. Like it lends that key lends to a sense of intimacy. It feels a bit more. It draws me in versus here I am to worship. Here I am to bow down. Here I am to worship. It's declarative. A declaration is taking place, and all that is the key. So keys are very important.
Right, right.
So that's a pro tip for worship.
Yeah. Shout out to all the worship leaders and budding and aspiring worship leaders in the chat and watching this. So yeah, in terms of the key, you took us right there, in terms of the emotions and how the key and the chord help the musician or the songwriter, the composer to emote in their song. And then that, translates to those listening, emoting as well. And that's really important. So right now we want to run a test. Given all that we've just learned, we want to run a test. So you guys in the audience, this is especially for you. Tell us what you feel when you hear this song.
Hello, it's me. I was wondering if after all these years you'd like to meet to go over everything. They say the time's supposed to heal ya, but I ain't done much healing. Hello.
Hello, indeed. And I feel like the whole mood shifted. I feel like there was an atmospheric shift just now in just listening to that. So Joel says, listen to the chords or melodies in a movie or a picture when the author or playwright or film score maker is trying to create a certain mood or feel at different parts in the movie. Exactly. So it has to be intentional then. Like there's nothing arbitrary about the keys and the chords that are selected.
I was going to say, well, he just said it. I was going to say, well, she's right. Imagine taking away the music from the movie.
It's like we take away the feeling.
I say, oh my God, or not just the music, the song. Song is
right.
powerful because it lends to the other senses to create the experience of what's happening. So
right.
I agree with Joe 100%. Sound, music is such a powerful tool because it helps to inform our other senses of what's happening. It helps us to appreciate what's taking place. And so the Adele song just now, I immediately felt myself sit back to listen and to pay attention. I didn't necessarily feel what Master Boss said, depression, or Sharon holding back her tears.
Right.
It almost told me, the music said to me, pay attention to what's being said. I did not feel any excitement to come forward. It made me sit back and to pay attention. And then the lyrics, oh gosh, you've already said to me to pay attention. The music has already commanded me, if I can use that language, to reflect. And now the lyrics have sent me straight to when my girlfriend broke my heart with my roommate. I won't answer my phone anymore. And I have to watch them walk down the hill. True story. Watch them walk down the hill holding hands at college. Yes. Yeah. Don't cry, Sharon. Hold it together. Put it together. Let's play something in the major. Something in the major key. Something in the major.
Well, let's see if our producer can round up something quickly in the major scale. But while you're saying that, the lyrics and stuff, and of course we're going to get to that a little bit deeper, but we do want to ask you about the song structure, because we're learning that all these things, like who was it that said it, it's a combination, a prism, all the different sides to one thing. So let's talk about this song structure. Sharon?
Oh,
What? Yeah. So the song structure, the way that songs are structured, I feel like, I'm not an artist. John, tell me, do you really pay attention to the way that you structure your songs?
Yeah, of course. It's essential. And when I teach, when I teach my songwriting sessions, um, when I teach songwriting, I oftentimes like to tease the students to ask them what's more important. Is it the lyrics or the melody? I'm not going to answer
Right.
that. No, I'm going to leave you guys to ponder that one. But structure of the song is also very important, and I see a few of them here: verses, intro, verses, chorus, pre-chorus, bridge, outro, hook. Depending on the type of song that you're creating or that you're listening to, you will recognize that there are not that it's no cookie cutter. Every song does not have a pre-chorus. Every song does not have a bridge. Every song does not have a hook. But
Right.
the basic song structure is verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. Yeah. And so understanding each component of the structure helps you then as a creative to decide what do you want to do or how to use these tools to facilitate what your end is. So ultimately, I like hooks because I want to drill into your head this particular thing. So better. Yeah. I like to use my music that way, creating hooks. I like to call them ear candy. The little things that hook you. That keeps you there. That
Yeah.
to, I want you to believe that thing. So I want to find a catchy way to cause it to stick with you. I don't know how many of you can sing along with every word of Stitchy or Buju Banton or Coffee. I don't have a clue what Coffee
I
sings
try.
for
I
three quarters.
try.
But
That's where Google comes in. You
but
Google.
for that section, I can be like, take the L, love the L, take the W. No, love, no, or
Right.
you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
understanding those little things are intentional. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So then a pre-chorus, so the verse tells your story. And so the melody of the verse it's not necessary to be explosive. You don't want to explode to earn the song. You want to start creating tension. Because again, when we communicate, we don't just speak in one tone. Like we ultimately what's the word I want to use? We enunciate on certain words. You hear the emotion when we build in the story, and a song does that as well. A song is a story being told.
Right.
So while I also believe the debate on is music or a song good or bad is a debate on different. Right. So understanding that the verse you're beginning to tell your story or to say, well, this is what happened, or this is almost like my thesis. But then your chorus, if I just jump away from the pre-chorus, your chorus is like your thesis statement, if I can use that expression for those of you who
Mm-hmm.
have done a thesis before. Your thesis statement is that compact thing that informs the reader or the listener of what the moral of this entire song is about, what I want you to believe, what I want you to feel most of all. It's right there in that chorus. The pre-chorus helps to set it up. So then I mentioned earlier creating tension. The chorus, I think both melody and lyrics can be important depending on the song itself. But I don't want to jump into that. Already
Yeah.
to have.
Um,
Sure, go ahead.
okay, so yeah, focusing on song structure. I know you said the importance of the hook, and you brought up like load the L, take the W from coffee. I know to figure out the other lyrics, I had to Google. Honestly, that's something that stuck with me. And there is a song that we have as an example.
Mhm.
So the song, are we playing the song?
We are playing the song.
We're not playing this
It's a very
song.
important part of this
We're not playing a coffee
song.
song for this blessed God.
Not the
No, no.
not the full song. We're taking a sample from a song that should resonate with our audience. We're gonna it's another tester here. So we're gonna hear
Don't
in
get
the
me wrong.
background, a part
I'm just teasing you. I'm just teasing you.
a part of this song.
Joanna, hey Joanna, hey Joanna, Joanna, ay ay ay, hey.
Guys, do you know that
Is that
song? John, do you know that song?
No, I've never heard it before.
Oh,
are you
wow.
serious? Wait, I think that's her. them in your face. Never mind. Exactly.
I was so shocked.
That's
Okay.
Joanna.
the songs that
I have no idea what he's talking about.
Exactly.
I have no idea. It's in a whole other language, right?
but like you said, it hurts you.
Right. So like, there's another guy I really enjoy the music of Burna Boy. And once I sat down and I thought to myself, this man, I don't know what he's saying. I have no idea what he's saying. But the melodies of his song, right? The melodies of his song are so infectious. How he annotates, how he uses his voice, how he layers the music, how he layers his melodies, how he moves with the rhythm of the music, how the rhythms of the music help to facilitate his melodies. It's amazing. And so I don't have any option. I don't have a choice in the matter. I just start moving. It just appeals to me immediately. And
Wow. Let me stop you right there, John. Let me stop you right there. That statement that you literally
I want to finish
is so important. Go ahead.
It lends to the power of music to as an influencer, as a means to facilitate agendas or to facilitate goal. Ultimately, if my goal is to make you do something, I can use music, utilize all of those tools. Again, if I want to make you feel something, I'm going to set you up. When I write any song, I know what I want to do before I start writing the song. I don't just start writing. I make up in my mind that this is what I want to happen when you hear this song. So then it helps me to decide whether or not I need a pre-chorus. It helps me to decide whether or not I need a bridge, or if the song is just going to be a bunch of choruses put together, depending on what I want to accomplish. Yeah.
Okay, it's really good that you continue because that's important. I mean, that's what we're talking about. You know, the intentionality behind how people put together music and how that affects us. And the point that I wanted to underscore in what you said, Philip K's comment here ties into that, where he said, "Music is indeed powerful. Music is the only thing that can enter your system, your mind, your heart without your permission."
I'd actually take
That's
that.
a very that's
I'd actually go and put it's the only thing that can actually enter your subconscious mind without your permission.
exactly.
You know?
And we're definitely going to tackle that deeper in the season as we continue. You know, we
don't
got to break it down.
I just don't know how I know some of this music sometimes. I did not. I'm not sure if that's your experience, but there's some music that I don't actively go looking for, but I hear it
Right.
because it feels good. It takes resonance in my mind, and I find myself a few days later being like, "How I know that song? Where did that come from?" You know?
Right. Yeah.
And
That's a key thing.
especially when you can associate what you heard with an experience or emotion. That's when that's when influence starts to take place.
I think that ties directly into our next component, which is rendition. We're talking about the intentionality behind it. And in terms of rendition, though, what can you say, or rather, you have already been talking about the interpretation of a piece of music or the performance, as in, how does that tackle the listeners? How does that transform us? You know, how does that transcend the experience from you hear a song to you're experiencing this song? Like, is there anything specific that music producers or artists do, you know, to shape the rendition to achieve what you just described?
So I really want to keep it as simple as possible. But
yeah, because we're running out of time as well.
so from the performance side of it, the vocalist, you have to first be what you want to see. So if I want you to experience sadness, I must communicate that in my performance of the song. Right? So then I must engage my emotions and put that into the music. Again, same thing with the use of the chords, the use of the structures that are created, the song structure that is used. Sorry, we should be mindful of reusing music tools in the same circles and the effect on the. Okay, cool. Right. Because I decide ahead of time what I want to accomplish when I create music from when I write it or when I go to the producer, I communicate what I want to do. So the people when crop over can come down, they know They want they want the persons to break off the bat and to spin pooch and go down. So then the rhythms that are created are made to facilitate dancing. Have you ever noticed that gospel soca, even though you can dance to it, gospel soca does not feel the same way as a Marsha Montano tune? Yeah, the
That's an
groove
interesting statement.
grooves in gospel soca all have the rhythm, all swing a bit differently. The use of the different synths and the different pads that are used are struck, no, not all of them, but when you listen to, let's say, I'm using Mark Isaacs, the Samuel Midases, the Positives, the Nathaniels, when you listen to that soca music, even throw myself in there, you listen to that music, and these guys are at the top of their game. And you listen to the Marsha Montanos and the Patrice Roberts, you can dance to either of them, but one of them lends more intense to a particular behavior, to a particular type of dancing than the other, because again, the intention is for people to Brocco, Gabad, get on. So then it's created. So the rhythm, the tones that are used, the percussions that are used lend to creating that experience. It's all music, it never just happens. It is intentionally done at every juncture. The harmony that you hear, that you can't wait until 3 minutes and 20 seconds to come up to sing that harmony, was intentionally put there. The way it was layered was intentionally put there. Again, utilizing the reality that there's certain things that trigger, there's certain keys, there's certain things, we call them ear candy. Yeah, ear candy. There's certain things that will tickle your taste buds when you taste it. Same thing with your ears. Same thing with your minds. Frequencies again, something that we can give, something that can be explored and given consideration to. How certain frequencies, how certain melodies directly influence our moods. They influence our entire what's the word I want to use? Our entire being. I don't want to say anatomy. Our entire being.
Our entire being, definitely. I think that's so important. The fact that you're literally talking and breaking down components of music that some people don't think about all the time. And I mean, I see Joel here says, but if you're not careful, you can find yourself spinning your bottom.
So I'll give you an example. So there's a beat in Barbados, right? The pan guys and the percussion guys. Do you know what they called? Is this group around pop overtime? The steel pan guys and the percussion guys, they come out. The name is slipping me right now, but you know what I mean. Joel knows what I mean. He'll put it up. So I was at a conference, right? Not anything Christian. I was at a conference, dressed nicely. Actually, no, I was not dressed nicely. I was backstage working, and this group was on stage performing. Now, I am generally not. You're not going to catch me running around, jumping around, dancing like that. That's not who I am. That's not my vibe. It may do it on stage, but when I'm off stage, I'm not a dancer. I may have fun with my friends, but I'm not going to do that kind of stuff like that. These guys are on. Is a vibe. Is a vibe. Is a name. Is a vibe. These guys are on stage doing their thing. Mind you, it's just rhythm instruments and a track playing. I'm like this, backstage working, and I'm like this. Notice the progression. The music, the elements of the music appeal to the Caribbean man inside of me. And even though my temperament, even though my personality is not one that where I am going to do stuff like that, like the music spoke to me in a way where I could not help but move. You know, it is amazing when we really explore and begin to peel back the curtain of how intentional, how powerful just is a vibe, how powerful this tool is, and one of the things that oftentimes disappoint me as a musician and also as an influencer, as a young man and a Christian, and just as a human being, is when musicians say, "I'm not an influencer." I'm just an entertainer. I hate that, because you know the power of music. That's why you're in this business. You know the power of music. You know that there are people who will do what you say to do, whether you are involved in that lifestyle or not, and you still do it. my mind goes, how dare you try to separate yourself from the responsibility of this noble profession, right? And just limit yourself. Say, no, you must be held responsible. You must see, and because you know that you are contributing to either it be the beautiful or to the ugly. There's no way to get away from it. And it's unfortunate we have so many people in our country. And so that song that Little Rick sang last year that caused a lot of controversy when he was cussing. So there was the one, I don't give a Rambo.
Etc.
I can say that on here. I can say Rambo here. I mean, I already did.
We don't need to go too deep into it, but we understand where you're going.
You did that, and I thought it very irresponsible. I thought it very irresponsible of every adult that did not see a problem with what he was doing. He's expressing himself, yes, but he's giving language to people. In other words, saying, if I don't like something, I can go on and say what the rest of the song they say. You're basically
Exactly.
instructing people about how to deal with a conflict. In other words, you're giving language. You're giving language to how people ought to communicate in certain contexts and conflicts. Yeah.
Right. And I love that you said that. I love that you're talking about language because that's what we're going into next. So we would have spoken about the parts of music itself as it relates to the notes and as it relates to tempo and all that stuff. But we are going to look at the theme, intent, lyrics. This is where someone would have sat down and literally thought out the differences, different things that they're trying to do with the song. So the lyrics relates to the words of the songs. And theme and intent, the subject of a composition or the idea or a message being communicated. So the question that I have is, do we really need to pay attention to this while we're listening to and loving music?
Yeah. Again, because Joel said it earlier, musicians are some of the most, I don't remember who made this quote. Maybe you can Google it. But a guy said, you want to control the generation, control the music that they listen to.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You want to control the generation. Who it is? I've noticed recently a lot of young people doing this. Okay.
Yeah.
Cardi B. I'm like, what the heck is happening? I found out yesterday that Cardi B does that in her music, and a whole generation of people are now walking with a bunch of idiots. Someone, it's like, what the heck? So no, that's just a little whatever.
Right.
No philosophies. No, they're certain morals. There's certain ways of perspectives about love, about God, about hope. About life. These are all themes and messages that are in music, and it's very important for us, even though music may feel good. For us, especially as believers, and maybe you're not a believer, as young men and young women, to ensure that what we're hearing is consistent with our values. Yeah, that's consistent with our ideals. Because ultimately, whether you or not, music is a teacher. I heard you earlier talking about nursery rhymes and the alphabets and so on. Music, even though it's entertainment, it is an amazing teacher. Yeah. And again, it needs your permission to leave its thoughts and lessons in your mind.
Yeah, correct. Thank you so much for that, John. Right now, we are going to take a short break, and we will be back where we will talk about holy or unholy genres. Do they exist? When we come back, we will tackle that question.
Standing up for the truth. Hear it loud, hear it strong. And we not turn it down. Hear the voice of the youth. Standing up for the truth.
Gosh, man! I done I'm up on the scene, keeping it rough and clean. Bada-ba-dang, 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 bada-ba-dang. Saturday morning, I went down Swan Street. Well, my mother to buy some bed sheets. So we start shopping and while walking, a shotty come and attack me. The girl crossed the road and she holler, a sweet boy, I can't get you number. Cause you just not real sweet on my IG and I want me to be together. But listen to what I tell she. Don't call on me if you debby. Don't call on me just ain't picky. Like if you is a rock, but say if you like to skin out. I guess worth is come out, you mo. Not me, you wait and get do so. Hear what I tell you. I want the Roger, no Roger, Roger, no Roger, no Roger, no Roger, no Roger. I want the rock, no rock, no rock, no rock, no rock.
Yep.
Okay, welcome back. Welcome back, everyone. You were just listening to Rah Rah Girl by Dynamo. Shout outs to Dynamo. He is a really cool young up-and-coming artist as well. So we're talking about genres now, making it, going right into that because we're talking about lyrics, we're talking about these things, and we can't skip genres. And we see that you guys in the comments have been making reference to genres and stuff. And there's the question there. Are there holy or unholy genres? Now, before we jump into it, like hitting the nail on the head like that, we gotta talk about what a genre is, like, because I think that's where the question really stems from. I think that oh dear, Crystal says, not my father asked me if the gospel show finished. Trust that qualifies as pure music. But very good questions here. So John, genres.
Right.
In terms of music and what we qualify as a genre, is a genre hi?
No, sorry,
Is
go ahead.
a genre mostly a musical thing, like in terms of how the music is brought together based on a culture or in a specific country or what's not, or does it come with an identity or an association? Because I feel like that's where the question is. We can't just paint a genre as holy or unholy, or rather, why would we? What is it that causes us to do that?
So I think it's important here to define. So we've had a lot. I like to have fun, but I think this is a really, really serious topic. And I want to start by defining genre. Genre really is an artistic composition. It's a category of artistic compositions. So like how there are different categories of literature. Like there'd be narratives. There'd be how there are poems. Help me somebody. The different types of literature. You know what I mean. There'd be the prose, the different types of literature. How those are categorized, and stick up in there. We don't consider them evil or not, and they are all reflective of different cultures, styles, and what's the word I want to use? Different times where they would have emerged themselves, and they themselves, persons would have identified with a particular one, and they would have looked and compared it and classified and maybe condemned the style that was not reflective of either their demographic or their culture or their time. But today, some 2,000 years later, anyone who studies, what is it called, linguistics, can see the evolution of each literary style and appreciate them. So music, we can use music in the same format and in the same light. So it's a category. A genre really is a category of an artistic composition, much like how writings are, and it's categorized by similarities in form, style, or subject matter, right? So when we start talking about is a genre good or bad or evil or unholy or unholy, here are the different types of genres. I get a little nervous because ultimately creativity comes from God, right? My opinion on this is that I'm just going to answer straight and say I do not believe that there are unholy genres. What I will say is that I believe that there are certain associations, right, that are attached to certain genres. There are certain cultures that certain genres emerge from, and I don't think and I'll say this here about culture. I think that there are elements of culture that are ungodly. I believe that there are elements of culture that is redeemable, and then I think there are elements of culture that ultimately are that that have relevance for a particular time, right? But what I'm not convinced of is that there's any one genre or any genre that is evil or demonic. I think that even the most wicked person, his creativity comes from God. His intent, right? His intent, it will ultimately be a reflection of his ideals, his loyalties, perspective. His intent will ultimately reflect that. We can hear his intent and what he uses again, the lyrics and the music to do. So again, because we understand that minors are can create that more reflective or that more, someone said, depressive state or sad, or again, example, heavy metal is a genre that I hate. I cannot. But hear what? I'm not sure if you know. I'm not sure if you're aware of this group, Judah. But there was a group called DC Talk years ago, right? And they were
Okay.
involved in that heavy rock type of music. I hear the lyrics of one of their songs. What would people say if they label? No, I don't really care if they label me a Jesus freak. I don't really care. That is matter of their minds. That was some straight up
Wow.
hardcore rock music, right?
All right.
I might have a friend, Marcus King, who introduced me to a lot of a group called So Big, right? And their album Wire was a hardcore rock album. I loved it. To this day, it's still one of my favorite albums. Back in 2004, I think it was. But because we associate that genre with guys getting high or drunk and bashing guitars and doing silliness, stupidness, we condemn it and call it bad. I'm not convinced that we can associate creativity or creation to Satan. I think that God made us
Right.
in His image and in His likeness, and I don't care how the far you are, I don't care how far lost and sin you sunk, that you still have that divine component from God where you are made in His image and His likeness. I don't care how carnal you are, you still have that capacity to function in the earth as He's created to, which means then that you can create, right? Again, intent ultimately governs what you do with the genre, but I can't say that I can't, with any convictions, I can say that there is a genre that is evil or that is bad. I think men and women use it to facilitate their their own desires. So the R&B are the old stuff where not R&B, that would have been soul music, would have been used ultimately in the parties and their dances and so on, and it would have been love making music and so on. But we do see how there were believers who came alongside that era and used that music to be to reach people, to use that music to be impactful. Big tune, Jesus Freak, Jared Holder. At least somebody knows what I'm talking about there. You know, many of our hymns in churches, many of the hymns in churches, the history of many of the hymns first came from rum shops, well, brothels. You know, the songs and the music that they sang in there, they changed the melody.
Wow.
They changed the melodies of those songs again to be evangelistic to reach people. I mean that lends a whole other conversation where people talk about should we change up structures, change up songs, and rewrite the lyrics and so on. I don't want to necessarily get into that, but what I'll say is that I have a
Right.
really hard time condemning a genre. What I will condemn is the culture. What I will condemn is the intent and motives of men, which ultimately God
Right.
judges. Yeah.
Right.
Yes, you made some really good points there.
But
Following on from. Okay, what did you say? Repeat that, please.
Bashment Stoke is not going to stand before God on trial.
Right.
Glad that
Right. Good. So we can jump in there because someone mentioned bashment soca, and again, you guys would have heard Rara Girl by Dynamo. But before we get back to their Small Like Smara says Bashment Soca and Church come to mind. That's a very That's a very good comment. Good night to Naja, who would have been joining us. And you guys were seeing your comments and we're loving the interaction. So keep it going. Bashment Soca, gospel bashment Soca. Interesting. Let's roll it around in our minds there. Because technically Rara Girl could qualify as being a bashment Soca song, right? But it's by no means identifying with the culture, as you would have alluded to just now, John, that comes with what we understand to be bashment soca, the breaking out, the all the other things. That there's a clear distinction between that and the content of Rara Girl. And we're talking about genres, and you mentioned culture and how that shifts. So do you think we lose touch with genres because it's a cultural thing, as you said? So Kevona has an opinion here. She says bashment soca and church don't go together. But is that because the genre is wrong, or is it because of the association? And that lends to another question that I want to ask after this. But in terms of Barbados, it's our month of independence and stuff. We had a genre, or have. I don't want to proclaim death on the genre, but spooge, and that was on the genre list. That's right there. Literally the last genre on the list. That's ours, isn't it? But how much of it is relevant and alive and well and breathing? Like, would you say that because our culture has shifted as a nation, that contributed to our walking away from spooge, or is there still,
I think that many have. So that is another conversation about, and some of the things that come out there are identity. Yeah. Some of the things that in this conversation about spooge is a very small drop in the bucket of the greater issue. Much unlike the Trinidadians and the Jamaicans, who their culture or their identity is very, very clear. Some of the smaller islands, Barbados, Antiguas, it's not that clear or evident who we are as a people. Yeah, actually, the Lucians far more than we do here in Barbados, right? Like, our identity is not that clear cut when we speak of things of culture, when we speak of things of identity. And I think spooge, I'll say this: the death of spooge is a result of that, right? We look everywhere. We receive our identity and we receive our validation from everything else, from being like everyone else, but we've never owned ourselves or who we are. So I will say, though, many have attempted to play around with spooge. It was either last year or a year before. Bass Inc. Productions did a rhythm where they borrowed elements from spooge music. And no, I'm very aware of what happens with music in Barbados. So to any person, religious person that may want to know why Pastor John knows Little Rick's Breakfast in Bed, you're just gonna have to get over it. But that song, yeah, that's okay. I don't mind. I can do that. But that song has very strong spooge elements in it. The guitar, spooge is right there in that song. So what I think has happened is that we've moved away. Here's getting hot. We've moved away from the things that are ours, and we want to do this, and we want to do that. And I really celebrate. When I heard that rhythm, I was really happy. Nicholas Branker has been really been a catalyst of spooge music. I mean, challenging our musicians and creatives to explore the genre, because it is a very dynamic genre. But again, identity, we want to look like everyone else and not own what is ours. And so I think that is one of the reasons that has contributed to that genre. Unfortunately, a beautiful genre, but unfortunately, bashment soca, though. My issue with bashment soca is this: the word bashment, right, is associated with a particular correct. See, so Canova,
right?
Kevona.
the issue of the word bashment is where my issue is. The genre itself, I have no problem with, but the use of that word bashment, again, it speaks to the intent of what they're creating, and that's why I love what that young man did. I love what Dynamo did. Sure, I love how he took a genre that has been associated with a particular behavior and said, look, I am going to change the narrative concerning this genre because you call it bashment soca. I'm going to show you that I can respect the authenticity of the genre's elements because each genre has the elements that ought to be respected. So don't bring reggae, don't bring soca elements into reggae, or don't bring dancehall elements into jazz. I mean, like, you can do fusions, but when you're playing an authentic genre, there are elements that any person who has studied that genre, familiar with that genre, will be looking for, right? So respecting the genre, the phrasing, the approach, but I can change the narrative of what this genre is supposed to be or what this genre has been associated with. So like my real issue with the genre isn't the music or the rhythms itself, but it's the name of it. If I be very honest with you.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. The name is something that does, and as Small X Maya says, so do we rename it
Well,
to adopt?
I'll say this. I'll say this. We try to call it gospel soca, but it's still soca music. You know,
Yeah.
the truth is, bashment soca is just a sub. What's the word I want to use? It's not a sub point. It's a sub genre of soca music.
Right.
That's all. So like, we have called it bashment soca. Well, they've called it bashment soca again because of the music, what it does, what the persons who sing what they call you to do. Yeah. And so that's where the name came. You know, like, again, it was intentionally designed to do those things. And so the lyrics, they help to facilitate that, or the music is created to facilitate what the lyrics do. I really love how they approached Ra Ra Girl. And he did another song this year, called Listen to What Your Mommy Say, Listen to What Your Daddy Say. Bringing them back. I hope that whenever I see that young man, I encourage him because hear what?
Yeah.
He won the junior soca competition. In other words, that man is waving the banner of Christ high and proud, right? By invading the culture, his morals are high, his content is strong, you know, and his integrity, his character, by all means, from what I've seen in his speech with me, he carries it in a way that is honorable and respectable and reflects the call of Christ. So I salute him. I don't know. I ain't sure how the pastor wife may behave if she hear bashment soca rock in church. I don't know if she can put on she hat and shame or if they may need to bring a prayer shawl.
Right, John. I agree with what you're saying. I like what you're saying, but if I could just spin it around or ask this question. So earlier you said that bashment soca is not going to be judged, but then Small X Mar, he said earlier something about the fact that your hips might be. Right, the hips might be judged. And the same way how you said that when you were backstage and there was some music playing, then you started to move.
Right.
If there's that association with bashment music, and then we still have that feel outside of lyrical content.
Let's go back then to intent. So then we talk about intent in creating. So as a producer, a songwriter, when we sit down and mention the difference between how several soca songs are to how Bajan soca songs, the gospel socas, to the secular ones, right? You probably go check it out for yourself. There's a starking difference in the rhythms, even though it is still the genre, it's still soca music, it's still 2 on 4 on the snare, 1 or 3 on the kick, 8 quarter notes or 16ths on the hi hat. You know, those things are all still there, but how they create it, because the intent is to facilitate particular behaviors, right? So I like that the subject or composition of the idea message being connected, not just with the lyrics, but in the music that takes place there as well. So I'll say this here. I think it's kind of unfortunate that we demonize moving. I think it's very unfortunate we've demonized moving. Right? I think that is very unfortunate that we have, especially for Black people, that we forget. When you invite me for your first tempo soca song, I mean tempo, like 140
Up tempo.
Up tempo.
When you say up tempo, you mean like 120? I don't go past 100 on 120 BPM, Joel. That for Nisha Woods and them. I ain't able.
The real Alicia Woods, yeah.
I ain't able for that for them tempos. I ain't able for them BPMs, bro. But yeah. What was I saying? So back to intent. Intent comes right back there again. When you create to facilitate what your goal is. You know. So oh, yes, it's very saying. I think it's very unfortunate that we have demonized movement, that we have looked as black people, that we have taken on. Now again, I ain't saying go and rock off the bat in church, you know.
Definitely not.
I
Don't
ain't
do
saying
that.
I'm not validating that. I'm not encouraging that, right? But I think it's very unfortunate that if when a woman moves side to side to the music and her hips move a little bit, I think it's very unfortunate that we've condemned that. That's just my take on it.
Right. So Master Boss says it's true. He used that bashment genre to reach believers and impact society, but can we then use him to justify bringing it into the church? And I just want to add my voice here because, again, reiterating what John would have shared with us, the music is the tool, the music is the arrangements, the music is the music, but the culture and the association is a separate thing. So I feel like we have to look at it as, like someone said, as the tool. And like John said, just emphasizing here, how you use it determines what it really is. Now I understand that there's a heavy association or connotation tied to certain genres, but that doesn't mean that they're not redeemable, as John said before. So perhaps
So
we can, use some of them or implement some of the factors to reach persons that we wouldn't otherwise reach.
so here's a thought, right? And again, back to intent and purpose. So like not every genre is done in church. So like, people are asking like, do we then bash so kind of church? So I may joke about that and say, well, like Holy Ghost brought me down, brought me back, brought me down. I may joke about stuff like different things, but I'll say this: what is the mission? What is the goal? Back to intent. So like there's a certain culture within the church experience, and that culture and the things that are done to facilitate a desirable outcome, right? So does bashment soca facilitate what we want to accomplish in the 2, 3, 4 hours that we may share together? If it does not, well then it does not fit the context of what we do here, so it does not belong, right? And that's not to condemn the genre. That is just now looking at purpose, right? That is now again coming back to intent. That is now coming back to what is it that we want out of this experience. Can God use bashment soca? Yes, right? Is it a tool? Yes, it is. But is it something that something that we're going to use in the worship experience on a Sunday morning? Maybe not. Does it facilitate? So let's look at the genre. Each genre has a mission, has a purpose. Does the genre facilitate what we come together to do on a Sunday morning? If it doesn't, well then we don't use it. I'm not going to try to use something just because it is in church. Is there what I do in that church is to facilitate a certain goal. We want to go here. These are the things that help to facilitate that. And so let's go. John, true, maybe not in church. Maybe we use bashment soca.
Right.
Well, there you go. That's what I'm saying. So then bashment soca, there's a culture, there's a world out there where this is the norm. Where this is the norm, where this is already accepted. No, and that's why I have no problem with Christians going on to the crop. And I sing Kaiso. If I get a good Kaiso next year and they got social commentary, I pick it up, I'm going. Because I love Kaiso music and I think it's an amazing platform. So I'll take this opportunity to big up guys like Hee Haw, Jude Clark, and guys like Billboard and whoever else, Christian,
Right.
those places, Apache, the guys that go into those, I celebrate those guys. James Leacock went down East Coast Road a year. You know what I mean? And mash up the place for Jesus. And there's a gospel artist that got saved coming out of that experience. When they want to hear that? Today.
Wow.
Very interesting, John.
Ask people to look at the Holy Band and these guys, right? And judge them because it looks different. But let me tell you, there's so many testimonies of people walking off the streets because guys dare to do what. Again, they see the culture. The culture. There's some elements of culture that are demonic. There's certain elements of culture that are redeemable. There's certain elements of culture ultimately that will change and transition as we evolve as a people. You know what I mean? And we need to be able to discern what God is saying and doing. And how do we, as a community, invade the culture with the kingdom culture? Endorsing kingdom culture also looks like taking a message into a community that is void of that truth. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so
Exactly.
kingdom culture does not look like 1, 2, 3, 4. Kingdom culture looks like the heart going into 1, 2, 3, 4 and placing that heart and that message and that truth in that space. You know what I mean? So I heard Promise use the Diwali rhythm at a performance at Kensington, and it was a nice arrangement. It was beautiful. You know what I mean? And it probably triggered somebody across the road that hear the rhythm and recognize it and listening for Sean Paul, just give me the light, but here Promise singing a message, and that it's not just giving me the light
Right.
and Sean Paul. You know what I mean? Like
You
music
know, John,
is a tool, guys. Yeah.
John, you're saying some amazing things. You're just dropping some great gems.
I mean,
And
I like to be silly and so on, but like I think it's a really serious
it is.
conversation to have, and I want to commend you guys for doing this. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
think
and I thank you so much. I mean, we have learned, I know we all have learned so much, and there have been amazing discussion. So I just want to take this opportunity as well to thank you guys in the comments who have been sharing your experiences, sharing your input, your opinion as we aim to understand more about how music can help our culture. So John, now that we are wrapping up, is there any other
Christian worship should be holy, especially as it relates. We can't give up God. We can't give God any old thing. You know, I have a really challenge with that statement. Christian worship should be holy. What is holy a genre? You know, like holiness is the heart condition. Like heart holiness is God's work in our hearts. Like fam, like reggae music ain't going before Jesus. Then the blood wasn't spilled for reggae music. Like the Holy Spirit ain't come for soca. You know, like the Bible was not written for jazz. It was written for us that our hearts and our minds be renewed. That when we interface in these places, that we have again. I love this. I really love Echo Nation. The what you call it? I love what it stands for. Endorsing kingdom culture.
culture?
God said, "Let the prayer of Jesus was, let your kingdom come." Right? He wasn't saying let me destroy. He wasn't saying. Judah, I talked about wild curtain.
No. The wind just whoosh.
The prayer of Jesus was, let your kingdom come. You know what I mean? In other words, come and change the hearts of men. He also pray, I don't pray that you be removed from the world, but that you are in it. You be kept while you're in it, even though you're not of it. That while you're there, you're kept. And so that as you go about your business, as you go about interacting with everyone, that you carry this message, this light, this hope, this truth. You know, so I have a really hard time when we say things like our worship should be holy. What does that mean? What does that look like? Your heart. All right, I get in messages by the producer. Stop. You know, so I can stop.
Okay, one thing I think that a lot of the commenters are getting at is the fact that sometimes songs can influence behavior. And
Yes, I agree with that.
right, and we will be talking about behavior next week. So stay tuned for that. But before we get fully into talking about what's to come, John, do you have any final comments? Any last things that you would like to leave with persons who are listening right now? Short
Yeah,
and sweet.
I only just remember this. I'm actually doing a teaching at church this month on worship. The theme is worship, Jesus at the center. Last week, the topic was give me the sun. So we're looking at the heart of worship isn't the act, the activity, the environment, but it is who. Worship cannot ever be reduced to what we do. It must also be focused on who. You know, so that was Sunday. This Sunday we're looking at God's love language. If you love me, you will obey my commands. And we're just looking at the whole idea of worship as agreement and obedience. Next week we're going to be looking at encountering the Son. Again, worship, the posture of encountering the Son, and finally we look at the 7 commitments of a worshiper. And just really unpacking the whole heart posture in this space, because someone said it earlier, it's a lifestyle, and that lifestyle is experienced from first looking at Jesus. I'd encourage any creative, your art and your skill is important, but your heart, the experience of God in your life is what keeps you amidst all of these things. Purpose is what helps you to be able to stand amidst any people will talk, and can I say this? Forget people, like the abuse Jesus, and I really think that once you're sure of what He's calling you to do, walk in that. The online link for that is Hope Church Barbados on YouTube every morning at 8 o'clock. But it's online. You can go check it out for yourself. That sermon. I done.
Okay, thank you so much, John. Thank you for all that you have been saying, all that you have been sharing. If I just have to add in my own thing, I think that in addition to everything that John was saying, I definitely love the discourse that was going on. So thank you once again to all of the viewers. Thank you so much for staying with us. For Giwwe, the breakdown. Just remember that we should recognize the intentionality behind creation and composition of music. It's important in terms of communication, in terms of communicating, as we would have spoken about, themes, intent, all these other elements of music helps us communicate a certain idea, certain thoughts, certain feelings, certain atmospheres, all those things. So those are definitely things that we should remember. Judah, anything you want to add?
Yeah, this is a very relevant discussion. It's definitely one that we needed to have, and it's still going in that. It really is, because it affects us, and underscoring the importance of that intentionality. So what we want to encourage you guys to do is to evaluate the music that you are consuming, and let's not get sidetracked by technicalities and the name of a genre or anything like that, but focus on the heart of it. So as you are thinking about the music that you take in, what is the heart of that music? So we just want to thank you so much, Pastor John Yarde, and we also take this opportunity to congratulate you on your most recent appointment as the lead pastor of Hope Church. Congratulations to you, sir. Shout out to the Hope Church family. And we want to say good night to you. It was an honor, a privilege, and a pleasure to have you here for this very important conversation.
Thank you. God bless you, ladies.
Yes, God bless you as well.
You see what just
So we'll take a short break.
You see what just brought it back to the normal? So God bless you, ladies.
Yes. Level.
You guys later.
Thank you so much. See you, and we
Love
will
from
be
us
right
all,
back with
John.
You are watching Locked and Loaded on Echo Nation.
Okay. So I just want to say one quick thing before we jump into what's trending in terms of the content that has been coming out in the chat. We really, really, really value your contributions on the discourse, and we can share our opinions and our views and what's not, even if we don't, agree at the first instance. But I do want to, shout out Naja for sharing his views and understanding that essentially when we're talking about music and this notion of getting on bad, as you guys have been going back and forth in the chat, that's just a phrase. It's a cultural phrase, but really and truly, what are you doing with it? Just don't get caught up in the logistics of what the words mean. Like bad is a bad word, so we shouldn't get on bad in church, but understand the context, as I think Small X Mar would have been alluding to before. So what's trending, Sharon?
Okay, what's trending? So we just touched on John Yarde, the fact that he is now head pastor at Hope Church. We congratulated him just now and we shouted him out. So that is something that is trending. Philip K says very relevant and informative discussion. Thank you, Philip K. Philip K Music. So yes, Philip K is a musician. So he would have been aware of some of those things and he may have learned some things as well. So thank you for tuning in, Philip, as well as other musicians. Also, just remember that there will be some prizes and surprises throughout this season. So stay tuned, stay expecting and hoping in anticipation for what is coming. So, yes. Judah, anything that you wish to add?
Yeah, definitely. So we are still endorsing Campus Crusade for Christ, aka Crew. We know a number of you may be young adults, and even if you are not currently in university, you can definitely check them out on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube at Crew Barbados, because they are a young community, a community of young Christians rather, that come together, they grow together, they practice evangelism, and a whole host of other things. If you want to find out more, you can definitely check them out on their social media pages at CRU Barbados. We will be working with them, so we are endorsing them because that's a movement that we want to get behind, again, endorsing kingdom culture. And yeah, guys, well,
Yep, that was a discussion.
It was a discussion. It really was a very valuable one. Lots of good content coming out there.
Yes. So, guys, just remember to hit us up on our social media accounts. Follow us on Instagram, like us on Facebook. Look at our website, check us out, equination.com, and be sure to subscribe if you have not as yet. Also, if you're interested in helping out Equination, you can be a volunteer, but if for any reason you may not want to volunteer or you want to help us financially, you can do so. So down below we have, we give you an opportunity to become a financial partner. So here's the information. And you can also contact us at the given numbers or equination@gmail.com to state that you're willing to be a financial partner, or if you want any other information about Equination. Yes, guys.
Yes,
so thank you. Yes, thank you so much for watching. This definitely was insightful. It was a discussion, and there's so much more coming up. So stay tuned, stay connected, stay locked as we ensure that you leave loaded. Right, Judah?
Very good. Thank you guys for watching. We know it's always a great time. And Naja has a message for you, Sharon. He says that you look like Black Panther's wife, and that's a good thing. Referring to, yes, serving looks, as Crystal said. So we want to wish you guys a really good night, and make sure you tune in next week, because we pretty sure we have a specific surprise coming next week that we will not mention yet. So stay tuned to our social media, and we look forward to seeing you guys next week, Tuesday at 8. Shout outs to all of you guys for coming through. Share the episodes, and we can't wait to see you next week. Have a great night.
Face lock, so watch us. Oh, line them up on the scene, keeping it rough and clean. Bang bang ba dong ba dong, bang bang ba dong ba dong, bang bang ba dong ba dong dong dong. Woo! In 2020, girl showing off all of their body, just to get a couple of likes on Facebook and IG. What happened to being a respectable young lady? You forget the morals that you wrote off from a baby. We already stand us on, we already morals gone, we already values gone. I can't see them at all. We already stand us on, we already morals gone, we already values gone. If you want him back, listen to what your daddy say, listen to what your mommy say, listen to what your granny says. Listen to what your teacher say, listen to what the preacher say, listen to what the Bible say. Cause it's time to bring them back. Bring them back, bring them back. We go bring the standards back. Bring them back, bring them back. We go bring the morals back. Bring them back, bring them back. We go bring the values back. Bring them back, bring them back. Young boys need it that they man, call this a protest.
Voice of the youth, standing up for the truth. Hear it loud, hear it strong, and we not turn it down. Hear the voice of the youth, standing up for the truth.